Should we find?
I'll do that again. I'll go for that again. Welcome to We Are Tottenham TV. Welcome to the HOTSPAR. No, it's not a couple of guys in a hot tub. It's me and Sim battling it out. How you doing, Sim?
I might prefer a hot tub at the moment. This sounds relaxing, but yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. I'm looking forward to this.
So we've actually kind of been unofficially doing this before, haven't we? Where we've been going tete-a-tete,
hammer
tit
and
for
tong.
tat, hammer and tong on certain things. So we thought we'd actually turn it into a show. And I guess debate ideas and the contrasting opinions on how we see the Spurs games, right?
Yeah, we have good debates, I feel. So
Yeah.
we thought the people would seem to enjoy it. We were sometimes on the opposite end of the debates, and it's at least a good viewing.
Yeah, so that's why we thought we'd package it together for this.
John needs a haircut, someone said.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Right.
If you know any barbers, if you know any barbers. So I was thinking, how about we start off with a certain topic that we maybe don't see completely eye to eye on, maybe have a slightly different opinion on, and then we'll go from there. And if anyone has any topics that they want to bring up, just leave it in the comments section, and then we can talk about it. And I mean, I'm guessing that we will have certain things that we disagree on, but to be honest with you, it could then just be like me and you talking and agreeing for an hour. But
maybe people will like that as well. People like to see people agree these days.
Yeah.
Don't get too much of that. Also, if you message us on Twitter as well, I can see the tweets and stuff. So if you tag us in her things, if you want us to look at them or react to them, or any topics, you can either put it in the comment section, a super chat, or on Twitter, and we'll be able to see that.
Yeah, good stuff. All right then. So I was thinking, how about it's hot topic? It's the HOTSPAR. We talk about Hot Bale at the moment.
Hot Bale.
Yeah.
Is Bale back?
Bale back?
Is Bale back?
All right. I mean, what do you think?
I think for sure there are definitely signs of it. The last few games, I think he's been really, really electric. The game against Burnley, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And I think there's clear evidence that he still has that quality. I think there's clear evidence he has it. It's whether he can do it consistently. At his age, there's always a big question mark. But I think he might well be back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say, he's back for sure. He's now world class.
I mean,
again.
what do we say? What do we mean by back as well? I mean, for me, does back mean getting into starting in the starting 11? I think yes. Does it mean like seeing a world class Bale from like 2013? No, it's somewhere in the middle for me. You know,
but where is that? Where in the middle is it?
So for me, it would be starting every game now. That would be like back. And I still think, and I even said it like when he wasn't even in the side, I said I still think he can wane with some goals and have a say. And I said I think he'd score another 5 or 6 goals.
But were there moments in that game against Burnley where he convinced you that he still has that pace, which you claimed that maybe he doesn't have anymore?
Not really. He did skin. I can't remember who it was.
Charlie Taylor, the left
but
back.
I mean, let's be honest. Like when 1 out of 100 is not, it's not representational of recreating that acceleration. But it was really good to see, wasn't it? We all got off. I got off the sofa and I was like, "Come on, Bale.
He's running.
Go on, Bale."
But does he still have that pace? Do you think? Do you think he still has pace?
I don't think he's slow. I just don't think he's got that raw acceleration that he used to. He's not quite as explosive. He doesn't have the explosiveness anymore. But I think his ambient pace is still okay. It's still good.
I agree with you. I think he's faster than like your average player, but he doesn't have over like how he used to do it for Spurs when he was back in 2011 or 2013, where he would literally run all day and night. He also has to just pick his moments, but he still has it. He still has that element to his game, but he can't do it as often.
Not totally. I mean, he doesn't have that blazing pace that he used to.
Not like the stamina. He can't sustain it.
Yeah,
I think over a short burst, he can still do it. I think he can still do it over a short burst.
Not as well.
Not as well, but he can still have that element. He's not a player that you. He won't go at you for 90 minutes time and keep going. But if he can pick his moments, and he will get the better of you maybe 2 or 3 times a game.
Well, that's the first time we've seen it this season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where he's actually skinned his man. He's gone past him.
I think against Wickham we saw it.
Okay. All right.
Against Wickham, does not count?
No, but no, it's really good to see him back in the starting 11. I mean, I think he should have been playing him anyway before and just getting him into the side, even at the expense of other players, and just get him in the team somehow. I always thought.
Do you criticise Mourinho for that?
Yeah, I think you should have played him. You know, just get him into the side somehow.
But when we did see him earlier in the season, he wasn't really at it as what we're seeing at the moment.
I still think he should have given him game time to build it up, because it was only a matter of time before he was like getting to this level.
But he played in Europa League a lot.
Yeah.
He just didn't play in the Premier League. He played against West Brom.
I think he could have played him a bit more, and I was actually saying that
from
at
the
time.
start.
Yeah, I think he could have still found a way to play him. Yeah, but anyway, that's in the past now. But I want to talk about. I mean, can we talk about this? So, how did you see his performance? Because you gave him a 10, right?
We as a channel gave him a 10.
You
I
gave
said
him
I
a
would have
10.
given him a 9. Ben wanted
Okay.
to push for the 10, so I
All
didn't
right.
want to.
All right, so it's more Ben.
It is more Ben for the 10. I said I
'Cause
wanted
we-
a 9.
Because we had
this hot
we had a
debate, yeah.
huge hot spar yesterday for about half an hour. And there are 4 of them in the office in the studio saying, why wouldn't you give Bale a 10? Why wouldn't you give Bale a 10? It's like, sorry guys, but that didn't warrant a 10 out of 10 performance for me.
But
You
what
know,
is a
maybe
10 out of 10 performance?
Maybe a 9 out of 10 you would say for yesterday. But like if you're... Are we back? Oh yeah, here we go. We're live. All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry about that, everyone. The gremlins in the system. All right, we're gonna have to say that bit again.
Yeah, go on.
All right, so so you gave Bale a 10. So why did you give Bale a 10 against Burnley?
Because he got 2 goals and an assist. He was every time he touched the ball, he was doing something with the ball. It was a massive victory, massive reason why we won that game 4-0. And I thought he was absolutely exceptional. I personally wouldn't have given him a 10. I thought 9 out of 10 was probably more fair. But I can see why my brother was pushing for the 10 because I thought he was exceptional yesterday. It's hard to obviously if you get a hat trick, you could get better. But 2 goals and an assist in a game. You can't do too much more than that.
Well, I think you can. I mean, if you're going to give a 10 for 2 goals and an assist against Burnley, then what would you give like 3 goals in the San Siro for Bale? What would you give that performance? 11?
No, also a 10 probably.
Yeah. So
you
for me,
many 10s.
So for me, there's a huge gulf between the Bale in the San Siro and 2 goals against Burnley. You know.
But you said, as I said, we were talking about that game against Southampton.
Yeah.
You said that.
So then we talked about what would you give a 10 out of 10
what
performance.
would you give a 10?
So I would give a 10 out of 10 performance for Bale in the San Siro. I would probably give it for more against Ajax because you've also got
Bale at home in Whitehall
I
Lane.
would probably give
taxi
that.
for my
9.5. I would give
9.5.
Yeah. Or I mean, I don't know if you give half scores. Some papers do. But I mean, you were going to say that the Kane performance was a 10 out of 10 against Southampton, right? Yeah.
For me, 4 goals and an assist in a game.
Yeah, I would give that a 9.
Why?
Because if you actually look at those goals, the assists that he does, right? The first assist was actually a cross. It was actually overweighted. It wasn't pinpoint. It was actually too heavy. It was like a curled cross in. It goes far, and he was actually hounded by 2 minutes. Son's brilliance that scored that goal.
He got him in
for
on
me,
goal,
that
though.
wasn't.
Quick pass. The timing of the pass was what got Son in on goal.
No, that wasn't a good assist. I would say. I mean, there's some assists that are on a plate, and there's some that the Son gets onto, and then the other 2
3.
he got. No, the other 2, the next 2 I'm talking about. Son picks the ball up 20 yards from goal.
Yeah, but through on goal.
It was a through
in on goal because he played a through ball.
But they weren't. He's about 20 yards out, both of them, right? So he had a lot to do, Son.
But no.
He still had a lot to do to finish them off.
Why do you think there's no defenders near him? Because Son plays it through to him. So because Kane plays it through to him in that position.
Yeah, he still had a lot to do though.
But he has no defenders to deal with.
But the last one, the last one was on a plate to him in the 6-yard box, basically. And so that is like so what I'm saying is there's different levels of assist. There's some assists where it's like the Tom Carroll assist to Bale against West Ham.
Can't put any of those.
There's assists where it's like Doherty to Bale in the Europa, and then there's assists where it's like Dimitri Payet when he does beats a couple of men, gets the ball and does a Rabona straight onto Andy Carroll's head.
Yeah.
There's a sliding scale of assists.
I get
right?
you.
So even in that game against Southampton, when Kane puts those assists in, there's even a variation of assist in terms of the impact that assist has, right? The first one I would say was a low impact assist, up to the very last one, which was a high impact assist, right? So when you actually look at all those assists together, I would say like the first one, you can't really call that like on a plate. The one after that, you could say that they were through balls, but he still had a lot to do. And then the last one was right on a plate for Son. So for me, that is not a 10 out of 10.
But I would say no. Kane can't put it on a plate if Son isn't in the box. So Kane can only do what
that's
all
he could do. Yeah,
right. So he couldn't have done much better in that position
sure.
when he's on the halfway line, even inside his own half for a couple of them.
Yeah.
He finds a pass to get Son through on goal with no defender to deal with and just 1-on-1 with the keeper. That is a brilliant pass. That means it's a brilliant pass. It's a brilliant assist.
Yeah, it's a good
brilliant
pass.
assist. No, more than a good pass.
But you actually gave Son 9.
No, we didn't. I think both gave
him 10. Okay, because I was going to say, for me, you can't give the person that does the assists more than the person who puts it in the net for me. I think you've at least got to give him the same score, I would say. But I would still not give them both. For me, a 10 out of 10 performance against a team like Southampton would be, I would say a 10 would be 5 goals for me.
No, come on.
Against a team like Southampton,
No.
it
4
would be.
goals is you have to give a 10 for 4 goals.
I don't have to.
You have to.
I don't have to. No. I think I made it clear with my 10 out of 10 ratings. You know, I would say Bale in the San Siro would get a 10. More in against Ajax. Lewandowski.
Yeah, but they did more than that.
Okay, I would say Lewandowski when he got 4 in like 10 minutes.
That was 5. He got 5 in 5 minutes.
That's a 10 out of 10 performance. And if you actually look at L'Équipe, the French football publication, they've only given 11 10 out of 10s in the history of their whole publication. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no,
I think
we don't give out many 10s.
You gave Dyer a 10 this season.
Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Well, we did give a clean sheet against Man City. Not many teams have done that this season.
I mean, I think that's a bit giddy, isn't it?
All right, fine. Well, maybe that shouldn't have been a 10. But we don't give out many 10s, though. We really don't. Like, I think when we gave 10 to Son and Kane, that was the first 10s we've ever given.
Did you? Yeah.
On the channel. First 10.
I'm just saying that for me, a 10 is quite. I would be a little bit more.
I know, but when you get 4 goals,
selective with giving out a 10 out of 10.
I know, but when I understand, but more selective than 4 goals. 4 goals in a game, or 4 assists and a goal, is a special performance, which is elite, and it's pretty much like very rare to see.
Yeah, it's very rare. But you know what else is very rare? You know what else is very rare? A 10 out of 10 rating.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my
even
point.
more rare.
Yeah. So when you get 4 goals and an assist, or 4 assists and a goal, that should be a 10 out of 10
What
performance.
did all the papers give him?
Probably, I don't know. I didn't see. I don't care what they gave.
Yeah, they not one of them gave
you know?
either of them a 10.
How do you know?
They gave them 9s.
How do you know?
I saw.
You did your research.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, they're wrong. I'm giving him a 10.
So I'm just saying that it's fine.
Well, what more can you do in a game when, for example, if you get 4 assists and a goal, that means your team has scored 5 goals and you've contributed to all of them. And when you score 5 goals, you're pretty much going to win that match 9 times out of 10. So what more can you do to get?
I actually think
I was
actually musing on this last night, and I actually think that I take into consideration the importance of the game as well to a certain degree.
So there are some games you can't get 10 out of 10 because of the game.
So I would say that more against Ajax getting the 3 goals, I would say that's close to a 10, if not a 10, right?
In what game,
more against Ajax getting the 3 goals. But I think if he was to do that against the Southampton, I wouldn't give him a 10. Would you agree?
If he got a hat-trick against Southampton...
If Mora got a hat-trick against, which he did against Ajax, let's say I would say that's a 10 out of 10.
If we're 2-0 down against Southampton...
If he gets 3 against Southampton or a Burnley, would you still give that a 10 out of 10?
If we're 2-0 down and he gets 3 goals...
You would give that a 10.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't, just because I take into account the occasion, the importance of the game, stuff like that.
Yeah, but he single-handedly dragged us through. If he single-handedly drags us through against Southampton when we're 2-0 down, I would give him a 10 out of 10.
Okay, all right.
If he plays that well, though. Depends on the performance as well. It's not just the goals. Obviously, the performance...
See, I factor that in because there's a snooker channel that I follow, and this guy does recreations of the greatest snooker shots. And he rates it in 2 different ways. He rates it on the difficulty of shot and the importance of the shot. So it's like how much under pressure he was and how much did the frame mean at that time. I think that's a good way of looking at it in terms of like rating performances as well. I think you can almost carry that on into the ratings.
No, I agree with you. I agree that all has to be taken into account, but the performance has to be taken into account as well. Can you get, for example, if you're a centre mid, can you get a 10 out of 10 performance without scoring or assisting?
Yeah, I think without scoring or assisting. I'd have to think about that, but I think in an extreme case, yes, you can. I was even thinking about this. Do you think you could give someone a 0 out of 10?
I think maybe like Woodgate on his debut for Madrid.
Yeah,
that's like a 0.
That's what I had in my mind.
That's like a 0.
I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, could you actually give a 0 out of 10? And then I was thinking, maybe if you came on and the first 10 seconds you just got a red card, that would have to be a 0, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
That's if you go on YouTube.
I remember once back in...
Someone must have logged into Pornhub again.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back live.
Internet.
John In says Alvin Box. John In, he agrees with you with the 10 out of 10 assessments. Okay. But let's look at the game against...
yeah, let's talk about that game. So how would you... Let's just talk about the game, break it down.
Yeah, I thought... Someone called. Oh, I thought Davinson Sanchez, everyone's saying what a great game he had. Are people going overboard with his performance? Some people saying he could maybe, if he can carry this on, he could be the answer to our problems at centre-back. And after all the criticism he's come in for, it was a good performance against Burnley, kept a clean sheet. But do you have to take into account they didn't have their first 2 strikers fit for that game? And like a team against Burnley, you're always going to they're not going to have that many opportunities, are they?
Yeah, and also he had a good game, but then he generally always does have a good game, and then he gets a couple of gaffes in there, like when he does the face plant. Do you remember that? So it's like he just had a similar type of performance, but he just didn't have the gaffes. So those gaffes still could happen, couldn't they? And then we'd say, oh, he's not good enough.
Yeah,
but there's been plenty of games where he's played and we've gone, I haven't noticed him, so it must mean he's playing all right. Do you remember you said that on one of the...
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's perfect with Sanchez.
And then he just gets one of those two big errors in there, and then suddenly it's like that completely destroys his reputation for that game, doesn't it? His performance.
Exactly.
So,
I completely agree with that.
So I just think he kind of got away with it. There's a couple of hairy moments, I thought, where the one thing I find with Sanchez is that whereas a Toby would... his positioning would be a little bit better and he takes his time, he's not as rushed. Davinson Sanchez would lunge in, do a sliding tackle, and he actually happened to get them all okay, and so he got away with it. But are you?
I'm listening.
But there's plenty of times where he could have done that and he could have taken the man out if he didn't get it perfectly timed. Whereas Toby stands up a lot more and he just ushers the player out. Whereas he seems to lunge in a lot more.
Sanchez likes to dive in. He likes to
in your mouth a little bit, and it's like, God, if you didn't catch that absolutely perfect, you would have probably given a penalty away there. But he happened to get away with it.
He has done a few times this season.
Yes, that's how I kind of judge Sanchez.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think I'm happy he did well against Burnley, and I'm happy, no mistakes, and we kept the clean sheet. But I think we need to calm down in terms of praising him too much, because he has let us down so many times this season. So many games this season he has let us down, and that I want to see some consistency in his game and his performances before I start saying he could be a good centre back for us, because to be fair, he's still 24, so he's got he's still fairly young. People forget that. It's interesting how people view Rodon and people view him when they're only 1 year apart in age.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I thought Rodon's
23 and Sanchez is 24. And yet Rodon's seen this up-and-coming centre back.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. It's like, let the young players do it.
Yeah, he's an up-and-coming centre back who people think, oh, give him a chance, he can be good. And then Sanchez, people just ready, including us, are ready to just give up on and say he's not good enough and he's finished and there's no way he can improve.
He was thrown in straight away, wasn't he? Because remember we had an injury, so he went straight in as soon as Poch signed him. And we didn't actually give him time to bleed him into the team. And he actually did all right, didn't he, at the time?
He did. In his first season, he was good, but he's never really improved.
No.
But when he makes those mistakes, right, and he concedes those goals from these, as you said, he face planted and things like that. How much blame do you have on Mourinho for when a defender does something like that?
What, the face plant?
Yeah, and just not the face when he scored an own goal against West Ham. He's done a few things like that face plant.
It's part individual error, part individual, but it's also part management. It's like a blend of everything, right? Because there's also an argument to say that if you keep chopping and changing the back line, then you can't form a communication and a chemistry, and that is going to affect the confidence of the back line and the communication, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So it's a kind of you would have to say it's a mixture. It's a blend of all of those factors.
Yeah. It's multifaceted.
Multifaceted,
exactly.
Yeah.
I agree, but for example, the manager's got to have trust in his back line when he's setting up in a certain way and he's got in a certain system, that the defenders aren't going to commit, because a mistake like that can completely ruin a manager's game plan. So I feel like a lot of the time you can't when a defender makes a mistake like that, you can't always just blame the manager when that happens. I think ultimately players also have to take responsibility for their own performances. And I feel like a lot of the times the defenders have let us down this season.
Yeah, but as I said to you before, here's my question to you. Apart from the Lanzini goal, name a goal that wasn't an individual error this season that we conceded.
Name a goal that wasn't an individual error?
Yep.
I could probably name a few. I'll probably say, I'm trying to think of the goals. I'm trying to think back to a lot of the goals we've conceded this season. One sec. Let me look our fixture list. I can definitely tell you a few. One sec. I can't remember off the top of my head all the goals we've conceded. I would say the goal against Sheffield United, I thought that was a good cross and a good header. Although I would say it was bad defending, but I wouldn't say that's an individual error.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that was more of a how we set up kind of error.
So you couldn't have said that one of the defenders should have been more closely marking.
I mean, you can, but
is that not an error then? Is that not an individual error?
Yeah, but that's different. That's different to doing something completely brainless and
so it's a brainless individual error as
not
opposed to
brainless, but
error.
something inexplicable.
Okay, so that's how you're judging it.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, the Brighton game, when we lost to Brighton, I
Mm.
wouldn't say that was a massive individual mistake.
I can't remember that goal. What was it?
They
What did
they
it
got him behind Ben Davis and they squared it to Trossard and he just puts it
So
in
could
from
Ben
the
Davis, was
centre.
it not an error
I'm
by
sure.
Ben
No,
Davis?
there's a difference between
that's my
a
point.
player
Yeah.
like a defence could do better
Mm.
and a massive individual mistake that a manager can't account for. There's
Okay,
difference.
so you're talking about massive, like calamitous individual errors.
Correct, which the
Right,
manager
okay.
can't really control.
Right,
Can the
okay.
manager control when a winger gets behind your fullback
Mm.
and then cuts back for your striker who's unmarked and he scores? A manager can set up a defence
So
better than that, yes. But can a manager control when Dyer is lying on the floor and trips Werner for no reason? No, he
Yeah.
can't control that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because there's one. Let's go in the middle then. What would you say to a game like the Fulham game where
Yeah.
Aurier gets slightly beaten to the byline?
Yeah.
And then the ball gets crossed in.
Yeah.
And then Dyer's a little bit flat-footed and they head it in.
I would
Was that
say
an individual error, or would you say
that's more on the
would you say
individual.
that's more on the individual
Yeah.
error because
I tell you why.
he's not tracking the flight of the ball?
I
Or is
tell
it
you why.
Aurier?
No, I'll tell you why. I wouldn't blame Aurier so much, although maybe he could have done better. I wouldn't say blame Aurier. I'd blame Dyer completely because he has one player in the box to mark. One player at all. All he has to do is mark him, and he doesn't. And this guy is like 5'7". He really isn't tall. So to be beaten in the air by a guy 5'7" when he's the only guy in the penalty box to mark, he's literally the only Fulham player in the box. That's your fault. That's your fault.
In that Fulham game as well, though, would you not say that we allowed them too much encouragement and we were sat back and we were just letting them play?
You could, but I could also argue that even after we scored the first goal, we had about 4 or 5 really good chances to kill the game, and we didn't. And Aurier had made some good saves, and Son missed some big chances. And you can't have control. Obviously, if you're Man City, you can maybe you can have control of the game for 90 minutes, but we're not at a stage where we can do that. So you have to be able to defend your lead. You have an advantage for a reason. You can't just keep going for attack in the last 10 minutes when you have the lead, and that'll be stupid. When you can't just take more risk and leave spaces in behind when you're the team who has the lead. So why should you be the team taking risk? It should be on the opposition to taking more risk, and then you should exploit that risk they're taking. You understand? So yes, Fulham had more encouragement. I agree, we probably gave Fulham a bit too much encouragement for my liking, but I can understand the need when we're 1-0 up with 10 minutes to go to kind of defend that lead. And not say you have to try. We're going to make it difficult for you to score against us, as opposed to we're going to keep attacking and risk leaving more spaces in behind where you could see with our defence you can't really trust it.
But that game, we had about half an hour to spare, and then we sat back in that game. We brought them on, and so for me, I would agree with you on. You could say that's an individual error by Dyer, but you would also say that why did we stop playing with half an hour to go? Why were we letting wave after wave? AFT have cut the cable.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I think the router the people who were stealing the Wi-Fi off, I think they keep turning off the router next door, so that's why it keeps cutting out. No joke. But as I was saying, in regards to how we've set up in games and stuff like that, you know, when other teams shut up shop and they defend their lead well, that's not and they don't concede stupid goals. That's like people see that as a good tactical setup.
No, but that's shutting up shop. What we were doing wasn't shutting up shop.
It was.
No, well, not for me. It wasn't. No.
Yeah, it was.
No, there's a difference between shutting up shop where you close down the space. When they go out to the flank, you all compress as a unit upwards. So you compress the space. We weren't doing it in that game. So that's what shutting up shop looks like for me. There's a difference there between playing in that low block but playing resolutely and all like working as you can even hunt in packs when you're defending and compress to the ball even on the flanks. When we weren't doing that, we were actually leaving too many spaces and pockets on the back line. We were inviting them on wave after wave. So that's the difference between shutting up shop and what we were doing. And you could feel the goal was coming. And when they scored, it was almost like it wasn't a surprise because we'd actually been doing that for the last few games, giving up a 1-0 lead in the last 20 minutes.
That's why it wasn't a surprise because we've seen it before. But
So
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a setup or the tactics that were the problem necessarily. I think it just caused nervousness because we've seen us be 1-0 up so often in this season and giving it away. I would say that it just naturally caused a lot of anxiety, especially amongst fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the anxiety.
But I would say it was more amongst fans than it was amongst the team.
What do you mean? There's no fans in the stadium?
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying it's fans watching the game. I
Oh,
don't.
right, okay.
I don't. I think we had anxiety. I was saying watching the game, Fulham actually didn't create any chance. That one chance they scored was pretty much the only chance they created, apart from after they scored. Then all of a sudden,
I disagree. We talked about that before.
Chances.
Whereas there was a moment where they had, if the guy had just squared the ball, it was like the guy was 1-on-1.
That was after they'd scored. That was after the goal.
Yeah, but that's a huge chance for me.
Yeah, that was after they'd scored.
That's a clear-cut chance in a way.
But that was after they'd scored.
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that we still looked wide open.
Yeah, because we had to go for a goal, so we put more risk to the game. That's hence leaving space open, and hence why they're obviously going to get some chances.
But even before, yes, I know. But even before their goal, it didn't. For me, we still looked leaky. We still looked quite wide open, and we were at home. We shouldn't be giving Fulham that much encouragement, I don't think. And for me, I agree with you. I just think it's a blend of both the structural and the individual. And for me, in that game, that was us at our worst this season, I have to say.
Fulham at home was us at our worst.
That was probably one of the most dismal, sort of insipid performances I've seen.
No, you're wrong, John. You're so wrong.
I'm not.
You are so wrong.
We're at home to Fulham.
Yeah, and
we were sitting off them for most of the game.
No. John, we created so many chances in that game to kill the game. That's not Mourinho's fault.
That's the left brain way of looking at it. The left brain way of looking at it is like seeing everything on paper. The right brain way of looking at it is seeing we don't look healthy in this game. There's a certain lack of confidence, the anxiety, like you said, the panic setting in. The players look nervous. They all look lost at sea. That's the structural issue that I'm referring to, and that didn't look good in that game, did it? With half an hour to go, we were sitting off them, and our arseholes were falling out.
No, I disagree. That's how we looked.
We ended up drawing that game anyway.
I know we ended up drawing that game, but I wouldn't put that down to Mourinho while we did end up drawing that game. I thought it was to do with the chances that we missed, and then we literally conceded one.
But what I would say is that's since the after the Chelsea game, I have seen a little shift though in the structural way that we're playing.
Yes,
and I can see that. The West Brom game, I know it was only West Brom, but I definitely saw a change in let's call it the mentality then. Let's call it the mentality. Not just chances, but let's say the mentality changed. And against Everton, I know we lost that game, right? But that was a breath of fresh air, that game. We played on the front foot. There was a certain Tadaris to do about us in that game. And it looked good, didn't it? And I think since then, bar the West Ham game, I think we've shown a little bit more desire, risk taking a little bit, but not risk taking the fact that it's just suicidal, kamikaze. It's just it's looked a lot more healthy. The
team
a
lot more controlling games.
Yeah, the cohesion looks a little bit more. There's a lot more. We're not playing the shitty passes, as Jose's saying. So for me, that's been a massive shift that I've seen.
I know, and I think having Ndombele in that deeper role has unlocked a lot of potential in this team. That's what I think is the big difference. Having him next to Højbjerg, so we actually have a quality player who can take the ball under pressure in our midfield, because we haven't had that pretty much the whole season. And then you can't underestimate how big of a difference that can make to a team when we have defenders who keep feeling they have to go long because Sissoko can't take the ball under pressure. So he keep passing it to Sissoko, and he either keeps losing it or passing it out of play. Whereas when you give it to Ndombele, he can shimmy left, shimmy right. He can pass it in between the lines. He can do what you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. He can do whatever you want. He can pass it long. He can pass it short. He has that extra bit of quality that you need in a centre mid. Whereas when we had Sissoko, or I would even say Winks, we didn't have that. Yeah,
it's definitely a contributing factor. I just think the whole team looks a little bit. They've got a little bit more focus and a little bit more desire, a little bit more hunger. They want it a little bit more. I was really disappointed in the West Ham game because, to be honest with you, they saw that like a cup final.
I know.
And they really turned up for it. And it's almost like we forgot that was a derby, you know what I mean? Whereas they really treated it like a derby. And but apart from that game, I would say there's definitely been an uptick in the mentality.
Even in that
and the
game,
desire.
I thought we should have got something out of it. We should.
See, what did you think of that West Ham game, let's say? How did you break that game down?
I thought if it wasn't for ridiculous errors, we probably would have won that game. If you look at those two goals, okay, maybe not the first goal. The first goal was bad errors, but I would say we shouldn't have given him so much time to cross the ball, and Lloris should have come for it. And it was the second goal, that was a joke. That was an absolute joke. Sanchez and Dyer were completely muddled up. They didn't know what they were doing. And any defender with any sort of competence would have dealt with that. With any level of competence would have dealt with that, and I don't put that down.
So 2 individual errors again.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
did you? I mean, for the first half in that West Ham game, I thought they were unbelievable. West Ham, they totally dominated that first half. They had us at arm's length for that entire half. I thought. We didn't look like scoring. I know we had there were 3 Kane chances.
We looked more like
but
scoring
they were kind of half chances. We didn't really look like
they
getting
got
in
the
behind
goal.
them.
They got the goal, yes, but we still looked more like scoring throughout that half than they did. We did.
I thought they were totally in control
they
that
had,
first
they
half.
had 3
totally
shots the whole game, John. They had 3 shots.
They were
the whole
totally
game.
in control that first half, and then they got
right,
the 2 goals
no,
up.
but John, if it's Spurs, you're saying, oh, we're inviting pressure. But when it's the other way around, it's like, they had arm's length.
I still thought they looked more dangerous, even when they were the way they were set up. They could hurt us, whereas I didn't think that we were hurting them in that first half at all.
We hurt them more than Fulham hurt us.
I gave the analogy of a 6'5" guy holding a dwarf by the head as the dwarf's punching. That was a little bit like the first half, I thought.
We hurt them more than Fulham hurt us in that last half an hour.
They hurt us. Well, they scored.
We hurt them. We were hurting West Ham in that first half more than Fulham were hurting us in that second half.
Well, they scored.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
But the second half, I thought that we obviously we came into it, but they sat back, so they allowed us on. So that's good. So it made us look good. But I thought West Ham were I thought they were the better team that game. I really do.
The whole game, they were the better team. Yeah. I disagree. When you have the chances we had in that game, and you have the chances West Ham had in that game, and you look at it objectively from who, in terms of the chances that were created and who had more possession in the game. Possession doesn't matter. Okay, possession doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to a point. If you're, for example, against Burnley, we had 70% of possession and had all the chances, and we didn't make mistakes. That's why we won the game. Against West Ham, we had all the possession, all the chances, but we made mistakes. That's why we lost. That's the difference. Can you not see that?
Yeah, and Aidno won 2-1.
Right, but what was the difference? The mistakes. The mistakes were the difference.
Well, I mean, that's a silly thing to say.
Why is that? Because
every time you concede a goal, it's like, oh, we should have won. It was just individual mistakes. I mean, that's every goal.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Well, if we have a game against Brighton when we didn't create another single chance, yet we had all the possession, I agree with you. That wasn't the case against West Ham. We had all the possession, all the chances.
We didn't get in behind.
We conceded 2 sloppy goals, and that cost us.
We didn't get in behind them. We didn't look like hurting them at all. No,
we did.
The only time we really looked like we got in behind them was when Kane missed that cross. And he kind of didn't time that cross, and
I'm sorry. When
a bit earlier, it could have got in, and we could have scored from that. But
I'm sorry, but
the Lingard goal, they got in behind us.
But you're contradicting yourself, John. You're contradicting yourself. No, I'm not. You are, because you're talking about Fulham, who didn't have one chance except that one chance they scored.
I didn't say they were the better team.
Huh?
I didn't say they were the better team.
Yeah, you said we gave them too much encouragement, and that was our fault.
I didn't say they were the better team.
But when you flip it over to them, you're saying that's great defending from West Ham, and they were the better team.
What do you mean?
We're comparing the two performances. I'm comparing the Fulham game.
I'm not comparing the two.
I am. I'm saying you're contradicting yourself.
I'm not comparing those 2 games though.
Yeah, but I'm saying I am comparing your analysis of both those games and saying it's a contradiction.
How?
Because you're saying when we had more possession and
no, I never
mentioned
West Ham, possession.
Forget possession. Well, we had
more
chance.
Don't mention it then.
okay. When we had more of the attacking threat against West Ham, right?
I don't think we did.
Because you conceded we had more half chances, and West Ham had one chance the whole game, and the whole half. Sorry, and they scored.
A half chance is not a clear-cut chance for me. If you're limiting teams to a half chance, then you've actually held that team out, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, but you wouldn't. But you didn't say the same against Fulham.
What do you mean?
When we were against Fulham, and we didn't give them many chances, but only conceded one chance pretty much, and they scored from it. You saying Tottenham gave them too much encouragement, and that was very insipid.
Yeah, but I haven't said the same about West Ham.
Yeah, you're saying West Ham did well.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's very similar. I'm saying it's very similar.
But
your analysis is different.
You're making this analogy, and you're trying to speak for me, and I'm not saying any of that.
But I'm saying what you said.
What did I say?
You're saying Spurs were insipid because they sat back off Fulham and they gave them too much encouragement, even though Fulham didn't create anything.
Right. And how's that a comparison to the West Ham game?
But in the West Ham game, you're saying West Ham defended very well, despite the fact that Spurs created a lot of chances.
I didn't say that. I didn't say Spurs created a lot of chances.
I'm saying Spurs created chances.
So you're trying to speak for me, but also introduce your ideas into it.
No, what I'm saying is Spurs created chances in that game
against West Ham. I don't think they did.
But they did. Well, fine. Yes, but they created more than Fulham.
Are you speaking for me or just your own ideas here?
I don't understand.
No, I don't understand. You're trying to make an analogy for me.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get this down quickly. Yeah, who created more, Spurs against West Ham or Fulham against Spurs?
Spurs.
Okay, right. But you're saying Spurs were held at arm's length, yet we offered Fulham too much encouragement. Right? That's what you're saying. You're saying Spurs. Listen.
No, you've got in the games wrong here.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
You're saying Spurs against West Ham were held at arm's length, correct?
West Ham in the first half controlled the game and they kept Spurs at arm's length in the first half.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. You say against Fulham, right? Spurs gave Fulham too much encouragement, right? Correct? So you're saying against West Ham, we were held at arm's length, and against Fulham, we gave them too much encouragement. Yet, Spurs created a lot more against West Ham than Fulham did against Spurs. So is there not a problem in that analysis there?
No.
Why?
Well, I don't understand your point here.
Well, how do you not understand my point?
Because let me go over what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
The first half against West Ham, I thought they held us out. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't just sit back and allow encouragement. Okay. They weren't allowing any spaces for us to get in behind them, right?
Okay.
We had 3 half chances. When you limit a team to half chances, that's actually a good way of containing a team, right?
Okay.
That was different to the Fulham game.
Why?
Where we actually allowed we allowed West Ham. We allowed Fulham onto us. There was a lot of holes. There was a lot of leaky spaces at the back.
Yeah, yeah.
You could feel you could feel the goal was coming. Whereas in that West Ham game, I never felt as though we were going to score in that first half at all.
But in that
I couldn't see any opportunity where we were going to hurt them.
But in that first half against West Ham, we created more chances than Fulham did against us.
They were half chances.
But Fulham didn't have any chances, except for the one they scored from.
So what's
they didn't create chances.
I'm saying West Ham held us out, right?
Yeah.
Because they were very compact. The way we were defending against Fulham wasn't compact.
But they didn't create anything, Fulham.
It doesn't matter. You can tell when it doesn't. See, that's the thing. You judge it only on clear-cut chances when you get the shot off on target, right?
Or off target.
I look at it as when
chance.
how often do they get in behind? How often do they get past the last defender? How many times do they get? If they get the opportunity, they can just square it and they're through on goal. That's how I see it. How many touches do they have in your box? That's the danger area for me. And you could see that was coming in the Fulham game. Whereas when West Ham were defending, it was like a brick wall. It was like trying to thread through the eye of a needle against West Ham. Independent, irrespective of the fact that we got the shot off on target. I thought they controlled that back line perfectly, and I thought they held us out. That's what I'm saying.
Look, I disagree. I can see what I see is Tottenham having a one half of football where they forced Fabianski into quite a few saves. They had more chances than West Ham, and you're saying we were held at arm's length. Yet when Spurs don't concede many chances against Fulham, you're saying we gave them too much encouragement, and we weren't holding them at arm's length. Yeah,
that's right. Because I think the way that we defend, and you've seen this all season when we've been a goal up, you can tell that it's starting to look a little bit leaky. It's starting to look as though we're under pressure and our arseholes are falling out a little bit. I never thought that about West Ham. I never thought in that first half like their arseholes were falling out. I thought that they were treating it like a cup final. There was even when was it Souček went off injured. Yeah. It looked as though they had 11 men on the pitch. They were working that hard and compressing to the ball. Compressing the ball and like forcing us into cul-de-sacs. It was a brilliant defensive display. I thought in that game they were working almost 20% harder than us in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying they played badly. I'm just saying that I'm just questioning the analysis of both games.
Yeah, I think you can't. I think they were totally different defensive displays for me.
All right. Yeah. Let's move on. Hugo Lloris.
Closet West Ham fan.
Closet West Ham fan. Hugo Lloris. Let's talk about him because I know I'm of the opinion that he's still a very good goalkeeper, despite the fact he's made a few mistakes recently. Mm-hmm. I'm still a big fan of Hugo, and I think he, yes, he's getting old. He's 34. He's getting on a bit, and we probably should at some point in the near future start looking at a long-term replacement for him. But I still believe he's a very good goalkeeper, and I wouldn't have a problem with him being our number one next year.
Okay, so you not think he's world class anymore? Because earlier this year,
do I not think he's world class anymore?
I
still think he's world class.
You still think he is?
Yeah.
See, I don't. I think he's not quite there anymore. I think his performances have dipped in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want to just completely judge him on that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because I think that's a little bit unfair. Because you've got to give him the opportunity to pick up the performances a little bit. But independent of that, I still think, as I said to you before, I said this actually a few months ago. I said he's a 4 out of 5 goalie, but not a 5 out of 5 goalie. For me, a player like Alisson's got the edge on him. I know Alisson's also made mistakes, but I think we could be looking to maybe move him on next season. But if we do keep him, I wouldn't be too disappointed either.
But the thing is with Lloris, he's always, whenever he makes a mistake, he always gets highlighted. I feel a lot more than maybe other keepers. For example, other keepers. Maybe it's because he's playing for a club like Spurs, and other keepers, lower down the league, their performances aren't as analysed as intensely, because then they're not as a club as higher up in the league. But I feel like whenever he makes a mistake, it definitely gets pointed at as a evidence he's not good enough anymore, and people want to chuck him away a lot. And I feel like he has a lot of good games, and he's been very consistent this season, especially up until the last 3 weeks. And that has gone unnoticed. And as soon as he made one mistake, people are ready to jump on him already and ready to say he's not good enough, and that's it for him.
You know, it's not even the calamitous moments for me that I think he's being scrutinised for. There's little things where I think he's actually starting to stay too close onto his line. You know.
Yeah.
I actually mentioned this a few games ago, and then he kept doing it. Like, he's not coming out and covering his angles on his tangent angles for each post, you know. And I think he's continually doing that. Someone made the comment, it's called chocolate wrists. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's when a goalie's too scared to come off their line. We saw that a little bit with Paul Robinson towards the end of his Spurs career, where he was actually too frightened to sort of come off his line. You know, I'm starting to see a little bit of that, not nowhere near as much as when Robinson lost his confidence. You know what I mean? But I do think I have seen a big shift in Lloris's performances, where he's sort of not quite commanding the areas as well.
I agree with you, but you can't. Why can't we just say a player's having a bad run of form? Why do we have to say he's finished and he's no good enough anymore and we need to sell him? Like, Alisson has a bad run of form. He gave about 3 or 4 goals away in like 4 games. He just passed it straight to the player. No one's saying he's no longer good enough. Yeah, when it comes to Lloris, it can't be a bad run of form. It has to be he's not good enough anymore.
I think it's not just those errors though. I have seen that. For me, Alisson's the better goalkeeper.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying it's interesting in perspectives how people see things. Like, obviously, I know Alisson's a very good keeper. That's my point. He's still world class, and he's still a very good keeper. But why can't we give Lloris the same benefit?
I think because people aren't just judging it on that. They're just seeing that they're looking at the whole picture of Lloris, and maybe he is coming to the end of his Spurs career. You never know. And
I think
maybe his head's being turned a little bit as well. Maybe that could be a factor.
I don't know. That's just speculation, but
he's certainly not the same Lloris than we saw when he came back from injury last season. I thought that for me that was his performances then were first class, but we have seen a big dip at the moment.
Pretty much from that point you're talking about when he came back from injury up until I would say the game against I think it was Liverpool, where he made those 2 mistakes. He's been really consistent since the Liverpool game. He's made mistakes against that game against Liverpool, the game against Everton, and the home game against Liverpool as well. The game against Liverpool at home, the game against Everton and Man City. You could say he made a few mistakes there. But why can't we just put it down to a bad run of form? Why do we have to say he's now finished and he's not good enough anymore when he's had so long consistently? He's, as you said, from that injury, he's pretty much been consistent
that was good performances.
Up until 3 weeks ago.
Well, I would say,
why can't we just say the last 3 weeks a bad run of form, I might trust him to get back to his best? Why do we say now I'm seeing evidence he's not good enough?
Because I think if you go back a little bit further and look at his performances before the injury, they were not that great, you know. And then after the injury, they were great, and then now they're poor. So I think if you kind of, instead of just taking the last 2 kind of the dips and troughs, I think if you go back a little bit further, I would say my feeling is that maybe he is coming to the end of his time with Spurs. But as I said, I would still be okay with him if he started next season. But I mean, maybe we could do a poll. Maybe we can ask.
I don't know how to.
How do we do a poll?
We could do a Twitter poll, probably.
We'll do a Twitter poll. Do you think we should keep Hugo for next season?
All right, everyone put a.
So let's say for next season.
Hugo or no Hugo?
No, Hugo in, Hugo out for next season. So for next season, Hugo in.
All right, Hugo in and Hugo out. Put it in the chat. Let's see.
For next season.
Let's see what people are thinking in the chat. Put it in the chat. Hugo in, Hugo out. I want to see what the general consensus is. If people think Hugo should be our keeper next season. I'm still backing him. I still think he's a very good goalkeeper, and I think he is a bad run of form. I don't deny that, and there's things he could be doing better. But I think as with every player, they go through his bad run of form, and I think he's been exceptional up until this bad run of form, pretty much for a while. So I think it's harsh to just judge him on this bad run of form and say he's not good enough, even despite the fact his performances before his injury also may have been found wanting. I think I think the good run of form was more indicative of Hugo than the bad run of form, I would say.
Okay, yeah.
That's
I mean,
my
as I said, I wouldn't be too disappointed if he started next season. But I think we should be having half an eye on a new goalie, definitely.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I do agree with that.
Then.
Let's talk. Okay, so we're getting a lot of outs, ins.
Yeah, I think it's quite.
It is very 50-50.
Yeah, it's very 50-50.
Let's talk about. I want to talk about the whole Redknapp versus Roy Keane thing.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
People are saying we are we're Redknapp and Roy Keane here. So John's Roy Keane and I'm Redknapp.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Marmite of football.
So you watched it back?
Yeah,
I had a discussion.
Back, yeah.
I had a discussion with Ben about it on the morning after show, but I want to get your thoughts.
So I can kind of agree with both of them if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
but I do. You've got to give Keane credit for just speaking. I know that's his whole character, isn't it? Just being quite polarising. But he does make a good point. He says half the Spurs players are average. And I think we all kind of agree. We've got too many passengers in that team or in the squad. So you've kind of got to agree with that. We've got two arguably world-class players. And that's a whole other discussion, what world-class means. But I'm not going to go there.
Very good players.
Yeah, let's just say star players, you know, Kane and Son. And I would say, but here's where I disagree with Keane. I think, Ndombele's a star player. I think he's, absolutely... you could say he's in that bracket as well. I think Højbjerg's been really, really good. But then at the flip side of that, I do think we've got a lot of mediocre players. So from that respect, I do kind of agree with him.
But do you think apart from Kane and Son, no one would touch the rest of our team, like Roy Keane said?
No, I disagree with that. Like I said, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Reguilon.
He said, Roy Keane said, he was asked who would get in the Spurs team out on the Burnley side. He said the goalkeeper, the back to the two centre backs, and the two midfielders.
That Burnley, I didn't hear that bit, but that's ridiculous.
Yes, what he said. That's what he said. It's the goalkeeper, two centre backs, and two midfielders.
But I do agree. The bit when Redknapp said, but they're internationals. I agree when Keane, his rebuttal was, that doesn't mean anything these days. I do agree with that as well. Like, playing for England these days doesn't really mean anything. It's not like the mid-90s when you had, like, every position was world-class. It's like the standard of player for England now is like, you don't have to be much to get in. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about some of the players that have got in,
Yeah.
Jake Livermore. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's true. Ryan Mason.
Like, so for me, just being an international doesn't really say anything. But so I do agree with him in that. I don't think that was a strong opinion by Redknapp.
But it's actually interesting because despite the fact Redknapp was fighting the Spurs players' call in terms of saying that the players are not average, his point was saying that Mourinho was underachieving with the players that he has. So he was kind of being the anti-Mourinho in his argument. I think the argument was kind of, and Roy Keane was kind of being pro-Mourinho in a sense that he was saying Mourinho can't do better with the set of players that he has because we're too average. No, Redknapp was saying we're good enough to be top four with the players that we have. And
Did he say that? Did he say we're good enough to be top four?
No, he's saying these players are not an average set of players. It's a very good squad of internationals, and we're underachieving for what we have. Roy Keane is saying we're not underachieving because the players that we have are not good enough. So in essence, even though it was a argument about the players, it's actually a kind of an argument about Mourinho in a sense. And where do you fall on that? Do you feel like Mourinho? Obviously, I think we can all agree Mourinho's underachieving in terms of league performance. We can all agree on that. But where do you think this squad is in terms of in the league?
I think with the squad we've got, we still should be finishing fourth or fifth with what we've got. That's how I see it.
I agree.
And I think if he's finishing sixth, then that's Mourinho's not doing the best with the players. But I think if he finishes fourth or fifth, then he's done as well as he can with the crop of players. That's how I see it.
What do you, someone asked in the chat, and also as a tweet for you, because we know you've had your issues with Mourinho. What does Mourinho need to? What do we need to end up with by the end of the season for you to be convinced Mourinho should stay on at the end of the season?
I think if he finishes fourth or fifth, then I still think, I've always said this. People say I'm a Jose hater, right? Just knee-jerk reactive. But I've said all along, you still got to give him at least one season on his own, and you've got to give him the transfer windows that he needs. So one more summer transfer window, and then you get the next 3 or 4 months after that, you gauge it. If we're tanking and we're in like the bottom half of the table, then I would look to move him on. But I think for this season, whatever happens, even if we finish 10th, I would still keep him as manager. Yeah, I would.
Really?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would.
From you.
I think you've got to give him another transfer window. in my
Okay,
opinion.
well,
I said that before on
did
a
you?
past stream. Yeah.
I thought
So
you,
people think I'm a Jose here, but that's
I thought
pretty
you
reasonable.
wanted Jose out.
No, I never said that. I've never said Jose out ever. I've
That
never
you,
said
you,
that.
that you wanted him replaced at the end of the season.
No, I
Get a
said at
new
the
man
very
in.
when we appointed him, I said I don't think this is the right appointment. I think it's not
And
going
you
to
still-
work.
And you still don't.
And I
think
still
it's right
don't
for
think
him?
I still don't think it's going to work. But I'm still going to sing his name, and I still want it to work. And I still think you need to give him one full season and his second summer transfer window. Then he's built the team in his image. Then once he's got
We are down. No, we're up.
once he's got the team that he wants, then it's all Mourinho. Then it's all him, and then you judge it on that. But until then, I'm not one of those knee-jerk fans that just says, as soon as you lost to West Ham, get rid. I think you've got to have a little bit of balance, and you've got to be reasonable about this, and you've got to give him the tools he requires, give him that second transfer window, and then if it's tanking, then you've got to be looking to replace it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm
What?
obviously, I agree
No,
with
you
that.
can't, Sim. You can't.
Obviously, I back Mourinho.
You're not allowed to.
I'm not saying Mourinho's been faultless or anything. I think he's, in terms of how we've done the league, especially after the last 12 games, he's definitely underachieved. But I think obviously you've got to give him more time, in my opinion. And I think someone like Mourinho, it'll be for me. I think it'll just be silly to chuck him away so quickly. When I think he's done so much in the game, I think we've got to give him every opportunity he can possible to achieve what we hope he can achieve. And I still think he's got a lot of juice left in the tank compared to what other people think. And I think. He's still. I think we'll see where we are from now to the end of the season. I'm still confident we can maybe have a good end to the season.
Yeah. What I would say though is, I mean, I'm going to dig my thing up now, right?
Go on.
No, okay. So,
Yeah.
how many? Here's my question.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, how many teams this season have we beaten that were in the top half of the table?
Man City.
No. Well, they were 10th, so you caught. Is that mid?
Yes, that's top half.
Wow. Okay.
10th is
Just.
top half. 10th is top
I would
half.
say 10th is mid-table, but okay. So,
Man City, Southampton.
What were they?
I don't know. I don't actually. Were they top half? They must have been actually. I think.
But how many do you think? How many have you?
Who else was there? Well, Arsenal top half? Probably not. Arsenal probably weren't top. Man United, were they top half?
No. Man United.
So we're turning top half of the time, or
So,
top half teams
well,
now?
excluding 10th place, let's just say that's mid-table. That is absolutely that is bang on mid,
But when,
right?
but it's
So let's
silly.
just say how many
because
teams-
when are they top half?
We're not
Top
arguing
half
here.
at the time, or top
Sim, we're
half?
not arguing. I'm just asking a question.
But I'm
How many
talking. Are they top half at the time?
No,
or
at the
top half
time.
nine?
At the time, yeah. So without looking on Google, which you're doing
I'm
now.
not looking at Google. I'm looking at the table. I'm looking at the table.
Okay. So how many teams have we beaten that were in the top half of the table, excluding 10th place?
Zero.
It's 0, yeah.
Okay.
So that's that is actually quite a shocking stat, I think.
That's irrelevant because the first half of the season, teams are going up and down all the time, so it doesn't really make a
the
difference
beginning
who you
part of the
beat.
season. I'll just go through it now. So we had Southampton were in 10th,
Yeah.
Man United were in 14th, Burnley were in 18th, Brighton were in 16th, West Bromwich Albion were in 18th, Man City were in 10th, Woolwich were in 14th, Leeds were in 10th, Sheffield United were in 20th, West Bromwich Albion were in 19th, and Burnley were in 15th. So that's actually quite, for me, that's actually quite telling. That says that we're not really doing a job against the top
Look,
teams.
Man United are second now. Man City are top now. So the wins don't mean anything because they were 10th at the time. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think you've got to play teams in, looking at the form they were in at the time. I think that's the way you've got to judge it. I think Man United, when we won that game, let's be honest, you did 10 reasons Spurs can win the league after that.
Five.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't 10.
So I was kind of like saying, come on, guys, let's just steady on here, But we have to look at that, where they were in the league at the time. So for me, what would you say about knowing that stat? How would you say that we've done? How do you think Mourinho's done? Does that change anything for you, or does that make you see it in a different perspective?
Well, Villa, we haven't even played yet, and they're in the top half. Everton, we lost 1-0 at the beginning of the season. Yeah, Liverpool, we got battered twice. Chelsea was a 0-0 and a 1-0 loss. West Ham, we drew 3-3 and we lost 2-1 at Upton Park. We probably should have done more in both those games. Leicester, we've only played once. Man City and Man United, we've beaten. I'm looking at the top half right now. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much you can read into that.
You don't take anything from that.
Yeah, I would say we've underachieved. I do think we've underachieved this season in terms of where we are at the moment. But, the league's 38 games long. And I know up to this point, maybe we could have done better. But, last season, right, Ollie Ollie was like 8th at this point last season, and then they turned it around and finished 3rd. So you just got to give them time. And in terms of that stat, when it's first half of the season, you're saying who's top half, who's bottom half. We haven't been we beat Man City, they're 10th. So that win is, you're saying is that you can't read as much into that win because it was all that is devaluing that win maybe because they were 10th at the time. I don't think that makes a difference.
So. Yeah, because I think teams go on peaks and troughs of form, and I think form is important. So the Burnley from 3 or 4 weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago when they beat Liverpool, was a very different side in form-wise to the Burnley we played, for instance. So I factor that in when we look at how we judge ourselves against these teams. And so that's actually, for me, that's quite a telling stat. I mean, not totally,
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I don't. I think it's too difficult to read too much into it. If come the end of the season, we haven't beaten anyone in the top half, then yeah, I agree with you. But I think as of now, to say because when we played City they were 10th, so that devalues the win. I don't know. I don't read too much into that. I can understand what you're saying.
They weren't. They've won the last 14 games in a row.
Yeah.
And so we caught them at a good time, didn't we? Because they weren't in form.
I guess you could argue that. But then I don't know. Have teams caught us in a good time?
Playing City now would be a completely different proposition, wouldn't it? At home, even at home, I think so. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you. I just wanted to ask your opinion on that anyway, because I thought that was quite an interesting stat.
I wouldn't say it's damning. It's something to look at, but I wouldn't read too much into that stat because we have beaten teams who were in the top half. They just weren't in the top half at the time. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I'm just interested to know your opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. But in terms of super chat here from Maria Williams saying, so if you go by form, we shouldn't have beaten West Ham. Makes no sense. We shouldn't have beat West Ham. Makes no sense.
I don't know what that means.
So they're saying on form, West Ham were the form team. Maybe West Ham just caught us at a good time.
Were they on form?
Yeah, they've won 9 of the last 13.
Yeah, and we weren't on form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they just caught us at a good time.
Yeah, so you could say that we played them when they're on form. Yep.
Okay, interesting. In terms of from now to the end of the season, does that win against Burnley, can we read too much into that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it's a blend of both, isn't it? Like I definitely got excited, like we all did, because it was refreshing to see, and it was great to watch, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a therapy for the soul, that game, I thought. But at the same time, especially after speaking to some of the people on the fan shows, one person said, let's stay grounded, let's keep our feet on the ground, and I do agree with that as well.
But you say we played Burnley. Their win against Liverpool, a 1-0 Anfield, we played a very different Burnley, but they're on the back of a 4-game unbeaten run when we played us. So why doesn't that mean anything?
Well, they lost a couple of their key players, didn't they?
Yeah, but they didn't have the key players also in the last few games. They've been
against Liverpool, they did, didn't they?
Against Liverpool, they did, but against the last 4 games, they're unbeaten, and a few of those they didn't have the starting strikers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see what Burnley do next game, because then we'll know if they're on the end of their trough, coming out of their peak into their trough. We'll know that for their results against the
But
next games they play.
I want to look at the league table, and obviously we're currently in 8th. We're 6 points behind West Ham with a game in hand.
Yeah.
We've got Everton, Liverpool, and Chelsea, and West Ham in between us and the top 4. We've played Man City twice. We've played Liverpool twice. We've played Chelsea twice. How do you rate our chances from now to the end of the season of getting in that top 4?
I said it right at the beginning of the season. I said we'd finish 5th or 6th.
Okay.
And I said it recently, even when we lost to West Ham. I said I still fancy us to go on a little run after this, and I still fancy we could get 5th.
5th. So
I'm going to stick with 5th. I've said it all along. So
you're at the moment you're saying 5th.
Yeah. I still think there's potential for 4th. Definitely. I think there definitely is potential for 4th. I think if you go on a run, things can change very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The whole league can just completely change, So there definitely is a possibility for that, but we'd have to go on like a bit of a serious run. I'm saying like winning like 4 games in a row, 5 games in a row. Then I think we've got a really good chance. But I think.
Can you see us with Fulham, Palace, Arsenal, and Villa next 4 games, with Zagreb in between?
I think it could look all right. I think we could go on a little run here. Yeah, I think we could be up there challenging for top 4.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, after West Ham, I was ready to give up. Honestly, I was ready to give up because not because I wasn't necessarily ready to give up just because of where we were in the league. It's just because I didn't trust this team to have the consistency to go on a run. That's why when we're 9 points, we're lacking that consistency to go on a run that we've shown over the last 12 games, and the defence just kept making mistake after mistake. That kind of obviously put me in a real downer. I thought we're not going to do it, are we? We're just not. When we're 9 points off top 4 now, and we're not showing any sort of consistency to go on a run. I don't see us doing it. But obviously it's only Burnley. But at least I saw something. With Bale getting back in the team, Spurs playing on the front foot. That's no Sanchez not making mistakes. I saw and with Ori and Reguilon back in the team, and we had those flying fullbacks again. That gave me a little bit of hope that maybe there is something left in this team, and they can show, because at the beginning of the season they did show a big consistency to get they won 4 or 5 in a row in the middle of the season. So maybe we can get back to that kind of state, and maybe we can go on a run. But it remains to be seen. I think I agree with you. Since that West Brom game, there's been definitely a difference in the structure of the team and how we've set up.
I wasn't actually expecting it either. Yeah,
I think he had to. He just had to do something because we were just so insipid going forward. He couldn't carry on like that.
Yeah, he really got into their heads. So I was really encouraged by that. And then who was it after that? So they played West Brom. Then it was Everton. Then it was Everton. Yeah, we were unlucky. I thought we were unlucky against Everton.
And then Everton going to extra time against Everton, going into the Mid City game on the back of that was always going to be extremely difficult, especially the run City are on. So I never expected anything out of that game.
Yeah, we didn't show up at all against Man City, but
we didn't. And then, but I felt like we were always going to lose that game after playing Everton. And then after that, it was the West Ham game, where that was a big one for me. Like, we had to get something out of that game, and we didn't. But I still think in that West Ham game we showed an ability to attack, and I thought personally we created a lot of chances. But and then
should we start another half an hour debate on that one?
And then it was Burnley. Burnley after that. So I think in the last few games, it's definitely been a big difference to the Chelsea and the Brighton game.
So what do you reckon predictions-wise going forwards then? What do you think, like, for Fulham,
difficult.
Palace?
I mean, I want to see us play against Fulham first. I want to see, because I think Fulham's going to be a real tough game because they're fighting for their lives down the bottom and they're playing really well at the moment. So if we can win that game, then I back us. But until I start seeing that consistency, I don't know. What I think the real joy is going to come in the cup. So I have a feeling. That's what I have a feeling is if we can get in the top 4 and win a cup, I mean, that'd be unbelievable. But whether I don't know if we have the consistency to get into that top 4 yet.
Would you take that now?
What, top 4 in a cup?
Well, no, I mean outside the top 4 in a cup.
If it's Europa League, yeah.
Only if it's Europa. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't take 6th in a. If you offer me now 6th in a Carabao Cup, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking it. Would you take that right now?
You want to? You're trying to get me hate in the comment section. I know.
You would take it, wouldn't you?
I would probably take that.
You would take 6th in the Carabao.
I would.
You think that'd be a good season?
No, but I would take that. No, I'm not saying it's a good season. I'm just saying I would take that at this point.
Why?
Because I think beating Man City, I want a trophy, man. I think we need a trophy.
But you'd give up Champions League football for next season?
It's not saying I'd give it up. It's not like I've got a choice to like.
I'm giving you the choice. Champions League.
So I have a choice whether to finish in the top 4 or
top 4. Okay, top 4 and no trophy.
Yeah.
Or 6th in a Carabao.
Ooh. That's a difficult one, because it's also like the financial situation at the moment's grim, isn't it?
We probably that means we'll have no money to spend in the summer.
I'm worried we're going to go bankrupt at this rate. You know what I mean? But I really think that we just need to get a trophy.
But what if I tell you if we get Champions League, we're going to have.
Can you guarantee me a trophy the following season?
No, but what I can tell you is if we get top 4, let's say in this scenario, if we get top 4, we have 80 million to spend in the summer. If we don't get top 4 and just the Carabao, we have 30 million to spend in the summer.
I don't know. I'm trying not to think of it like from a financial point of view.
But that means we would have more money to build on for the next season if we get top 4.
It's a tough one.
And we would have Champions League football.
I guess I'd have to go with that. The way you're spelling it out like that.
But that's probably the scenario, isn't it? Yeah. If we don't get top 4, how much money are we going to realistically have to spend?
All right. So what about Europa?
Yeah,
you take Europa in 6th.
Yeah.
Instead of top 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, easy. That's not even. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Europa in 6th.
Getting in anyway.
Yeah. Europa in 6th. I would.
Europa in 10th.
Bite your hand out. I'll probably take Europa in 10th over top 4 right now. To be honest. Yeah. Yeah, and Super Cup as well. Oh, the money we're rolling in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any more topics we have discussed? I think we've been going over an hour now. I've enjoyed it, and I especially enjoyed our debate about the Fulham and West Ham game.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know what people thought.
Oh God!
Well,
We
is
need
Harry
half an
Kane
hour
world
for
class?
this.
That's for another debate. I think we'll save that for the end
Should
of the
we save
season.
that one?
I think once Kane is announced Player of the Year, that's
Yeah.
when I'm going to bring that up. I think.
Oh, just finally on that, do you still stand by Kane's having a better season than Bale's final season at Spurs?
Now,
Yeah, you said that
Yeah.
last week. You still think that?
Yeah.
That's a talking point.
14 goals and 11 assists at this point after 26 games. Bale
I
probably
think you're
got that.
crazy.
Probably got close to that at the end of the season, let alone
No, I think
mid-season.
so. Yeah, if anyone saw that last week, we were talking about. I think Bale's final season for us is a better season than a much better season, I'd say, even than Kane, this season. Kane's performance this season, and you were saying Kane's better than Bale.
I
Yeah.
do. I think that because he has more of an influence on the team. No, well, actually, that's not true. But I wouldn't say
kidding
more.
me? Bale,
Only because our team was worse.
Think how
probably.
poor that team was that
Yeah.
Bale was in.
Okay,
right?
no, that's fair.
And
No, not more. Of
he scored 31 goals from effectively like
Not league goals. That's all competitions.
Yeah, all competitions.
Okay.
Yeah,
But Kane's on.
it's incredible, mate.
Yeah, but Kane's
he
on
carried us that whole
Kane's
season.
on nearly he's on 25.
Think of the worldies he was scoring that season as well.
Yeah, fair. He was
You know?
scoring a lot of worldies, but Kane's laying him on a plate and scoring worldies. And
I
getting
still don't
finishes.
think. Well, let's put it in the comments. We can actually talk about this more.
But Kane got 14 goals and 11 assists. This just right now after 26 games. Bale, I know for a fact, got 21 goals
Yeah,
in that season.
let's hear the. Yeah, so
and probably
Ben's
2
gonna
assists or
talk-
something.
Gareth Bale played 33 games.
33 games.
Gareth Bale,
Bale.
33 games,
21 goals.
21 games,
There
4
you go.
assists.
Kane has played 23 games, 14 goals, 11 assists.
So he's already matched the goals and assists.
Yeah, he's
rate
playing
now.
striker.
Huh?
He's a striker.
First of all, Bale actually played in the middle quite a few times that season. I remember.
yeah, he was behind the strikers.
Yeah, he played.
the
I
striker,
remember one game
Adebayor.
against Newcastle.
Was it Adebayor or was it?
It was
yeah.
behind Defoe or Adebayor.
Yeah.
I remember there's one.
Both on 0.6 goals per game.
They're
0.
both on 0.6 goals per game.
0.6
Who would you
goals
say
per
in the
game.
comments section? Who would you rather have?
Wow.
Would you have? Would you rather have Bale from the prime Gareth Bale from that last season with us, or would you rather have Kane from this season? If you could have either one, which one would you have? Just put in the comments section. Just put Kane or Bale.
But Kane, but yeah, I would say Kane is definitely having a better season because Kane's probably going to get more than Bale at goals, and he's going to completely batter him at assists. So I know Bale was playing right
got to
wing.
have that Bale from that season. That he was unplayable that season, completely unplayable. I mean, think of that goal he scored against Sunderland in the last.
I know, he was unreal.
That,
He was
you're not going
unreal.
to get that from Kane.
But we were
You're not
because
gonna
we
get that.
relied on him. Well, I guess we rely on Kane as well. But
Well, that's the thing. If you're relying on Bale, doesn't that make him, great player then?
yeah, but we rely on
Yeah.
Kane as well.
I don't think we do so much.
Well,
I
him
think
and
if
Son.
Kane doesn't play, I think we can still. We've got firepower to deal with it. But I think if you took Bale out of that 2013 team, we were probably a mid-table team.
It's a tough one. I think Kane has just been so out of this world though this year. I
I don't think he has.
I think he has. I
No.
think he has. I think he has, John.
Not out of this world. I don't
He
think
has.
he's been out of this world.
I
this
think he's been
season.
one of the best in Europe.
Someone
like-
said Vincent Janssen.
I think he's probably been top 5 in Europe this season. Kane.
Compared to Bale, though, I think Bale was top 3 in the world.
Yeah, he was. He was so good.
All right.
Look, he's tough. Look,
Let's
I know
finish
it's
on
tough.
a win.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one because Bale in that last season, he was playing in a worse team and he was exceptional. You can't get away with it. First of all, you got to remember Bale also didn't play well every game. It wasn't. You can't
Yeah,
say
neither
that
has
he
Kane
was,
this season.
But Kane,
He's had plenty of games which he's been totally anonymous, and he's got like 6 out of 10 ratings.
yeah, true. They both have. Okay, so I'd say they both have. But I think I don't know. I think the rate of his goals and assists this season, Kane, like he's gonna end the season like with a lot more. He could even have like 25 goals and like near 20 assists. Like Bale couldn't get near that.
What's he on at the moment for goals scored
14.
in total?
The whole
The
season.
whole season, like in all competitions.
I'll get that up in a sec. It's
Yeah.
probably definitely over 20.
I would take Bale all day. That prime Bale, I would take all day long.
Harry Kane right now in all competitions has 1 sec. He's scored 22 goals.
22
So he's
goals.
already and Bale got 31 in that year.
Hmm.
So he's going
But
to get
Kane
more
was
than
striker
that.
though.
I know Kane's a striker, but
Bale
Bale
wasn't
was a
striker.
forward. Bale was a forward.
Yeah, but he wasn't. he wasn't playing as a striker though. It does make a big
First of all, he
difference.
did play a striker sometimes.
It doesn't. Yeah, but that does make a big difference in terms of like comparing the stats.
Yeah, but Bale. But it's different because
we're talking
Bale was
peak
allowed
Bale.
a free
We're talking
roll.
peak Bale here, right? Peak Bale.
This
We're
is
not
peak
talking
Bale.
Bale, and we're not judging it on loyalty. We're not judging it on longevity. We're just judging on that one standout season versus this season, Kane.
I don't know. I think it's a tight one. I really do. I think Kane is near on par, if not. Bale was so special. I can't say he wasn't special. Bale was an exceptional player and one of the best in Europe.
I think Bale totally carried us that season.
He did. But Kane's Kane's playing deep.
Yeah.
And getting more assists.
Yeah,
Bale didn't have the creativity.
But I don't think
Kane.
I don't think Kane is quite carrying us in the way that Bale carried us that season.
But so you're saying it's Kane's fault? He's in a better team.
I'm not saying it's anyone's fault.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean. But you can't hold it against Kane because he's in a better team.
Yeah, I just think that if prime Bale was in this team, I think he would do more damage. I think.
If prime Bale was in this team, he would do more damage
than Kane. Yeah.
Maybe you're right. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I guess it's just it's philosophical.
The thing is, Kane,
isn't it?
but everything went through Bale that season. He still only got 4 assists compared to Kane already. He's on 11.
It's probably because he was smashing them in from 30 yards every
He
time.
He didn't have to assist. But I think that's where Kane holds the edge for me. Just that creativity for the team. He's able to make the team better. Bale was individually maybe better, but Kane was able to make the team better, and he still chips in with probably more goals than Bale.
John, let me ask you this: 2017 Kane or 2013 Bale?
Oh, that's where peak Kane.
Do you know what? That's closer, much closer, and I'm not sure about that. Yeah, see, that's a good. Ben just chipped in with one there. He said because he knows I love the Kane from 2017. That's when I think he was at his best. Statistically, he is as well. He actually got 0.01 goals per game, and I think he's on around 0.6 now. So just statistically, he was better. But I think that Kane against Bale, that's a debate for me. I'm not sure about that. Yeah,
I think
I would still maybe even. I'm not sure. I think that's on par for me. But I'd still maybe even just take Bale. But
you think 2017 Kane is better than now Kane?
For me, yeah.
A lot better or just a bit better?
Well, 0.3 goals per game better.
0.3 goals, but he could outscore. He could outscore.
I don't think he's going to outscore him.
No, he's got 4.
I don't think this Kane's going to. Definitely not.
He needs 16 goals to match it. Yeah, he's probably not going to do that in the next 13
Kane
games.
from 2017 was also unplayable, I think. Unplayable.
But he didn't have that element to his game where he has now, where he's.
Do you know what? But that's partly also because he's had to, because we've lost Eriksen and he's playing like he's having to fill in different roles, like the cam role. He's also dropping into defence and sort of being an all-action hero. So he's having to do that just for the sake of the team. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, that
sorry
was
for the buffering, everyone. Sorry that the internet went.
For the internet. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. Well,
it got hot. It got heated.
It got heated. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let us know if you enjoyed this kind of content. We're looking to bring this, I think, once a week to the channel. We'll see how it goes. But let us know if you enjoyed it. Put in the comments if you want to see more of it, and we'll bring you more debates and discussions around Tottenham with John on the channel. So yeah, let us know.
And also, leave your hot topics. What do you want us to spar on? You know, is there anything like that we've just talked about, like Bale versus Kane, or Lloris, should he be in the team next year, or West Ham, Fulham, who are we more shit against?
Which game are we more shit in?
You know, there's plenty of those as well. If you just you can tweet us, I guess. What's the best way of them getting in contact?
Tweet us at WeAreTottenhamTV, or you can or on Instagram, WeAreTottenhamTV, on Facebook, or just DM us, or just tweet us your next hot topics, and we'll look at them for the next for next week's discussion.
All right. So that was it then. That was the first in the series of HOTSPARs with myself, John, and Sim. Here we go.
Come on.
And we'll be bringing this to you hopefully in the near future. All right, everyone.
Cheers for joining us, and as always,
come on you Spurs.